All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to talk about building something I think we could all use, a bit of unshakable detachment. We're going to take a look at a really common, really human pain point and figure out exactly how to take it apart.
So, let me ask you this. Has a single cold tone from someone or maybe a text message that takes forever to get a reply ever just completely ruined your day? Sent you into a total spiral? Yeah, if you're nodding along, you are in very good company.
You know that feeling? We can give it a name. Let's call it the daily sting. It's that sharp, little, personal jab that you feel from what seem like totally tiny, insignificant moments with people.
And let's get one thing straight right now. That feeling is not just in your head. It's not you being too sensitive or overreacting. No, it's a real, genuine emotional response that can absolutely throw your whole day off course. It is real.
So where does that intense sting actually come from? Well, it turns out it almost always starts with a really deeply ingrained and, frankly, a deeply flawed assumption that our brains make in a split second.
And here's what it is. We immediately make it about us. That delayed text, our brain doesn't just think, oh, they must be busy. No, it jumps right to, I'm not important enough for a reply. That cold tone isn't just them having a bad morning. It's a direct judgment. They don't like me. Or I must have done something wrong. We take their actions and we turn them into a verdict on our own value.
But what if that whole story we tell ourselves is just completely wrong? I want you to consider this powerful alternative. A person's behavior, their mood, their tone, their timing, it often has absolutely nothing to do with you. It's usually just a reflection of their own internal world, their own stress, their own stuff. It's not a statement about your value.
This brings us to a really cool psychological idea that helps explain this. Let's call it the mirror effect.
Now, the official clinical term for this is psychological projection. And all it really is this unconscious habit we have of taking feelings or insecurities, things we don't really like about ourselves, and instead of dealing with them head on, we kind of toss them onto someone else. We project them outward.
Let me show you how this plays out in real life, because this is where it gets interesting. So if someone says to you, you're always so anxious, and your first reaction is, of course, to feel defensive, right? But if we look at it through this mirror effect lens, what they might actually be saying is, wow, I'm feeling incredibly anxious right now. Or when you hear, you never listen, it might not really be about you. It could be a projection of their own fear that they feel unheard and insecure. See, it's their internal world just being reflected back at you.
Okay, so understanding this concept is huge. That's step one. But how do we actually use this when we're in the moment, when that sting feels fresh and real? Well, it all comes down to a really simple but incredibly powerful reframing of the whole situation.
It's a simple 3-step mental shift you can use anytime. First, just pause. Seriously. Before you react, before you spiral, just stop and take one deep breath. Second, question the narrative. Ask yourself, is the story my brain just invented the only possible truth here? And third, consider the mirror. Ask yourself, is it possible, just possible, that this has way more to do with them than it has to do with me?
You know, when you start to actually practice this, something amazing starts to happen. It doesn't just stop that sting in its tracks. It gives you this completely new perspective on all these little daily interactions.
Now, let me be really clear about something. This is not about making excuses for people who are being rude or hurtful. Not at all. This is about your emotional freedom. It's about realizing you don't have to pick up and carry the weight of someone else's emotional baggage. You're just freeing yourself from a story that was never even yours to begin with.
Hey, if you only take one thing away from our little chat today, let it be this simple truth. Whatever is going on in their head, whatever their personal struggles are, their story is not, and it never was, a verdict on you.
So all of this really leaves us with a final thought, a final question. The next time you feel that sting, the next time your brain serves up that old, familiar, painful story, you now know you have a choice. So the real question is, whose story are you going to choose to believe?